This, not really an article, it's a link to a TED Talk video, was submitted by Patreon supporter Adam Martin. Adam, thank you so much for supporting the show. And it's about a 7-minute video. I would watch it. It's this guy that used to, work with the Navy, talking about how the military is really fighting climate change. And it talks about what's going on in Syria, and Assad is, a bad guy, and how they had to address a climate change. This isn't excusing Assad, but we've talked at great length on this show of how, the regime change. Tulsi Gabbard said she didn't want another ridiculous regime change war with Assad, like they did with Saddam Hussein. So it's an interesting watch, but it is, and as Adam suggested, he goes, it seems like a little bit of a propaganda to me. And also, I love how they always frame it as a fight. We seriously need to curb the aggressive mentality the U.S. has. Thanks for all you do, Adam. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, and you watch this, and it just it's dealing with climate change through the eyes of the military. Now, I have heard that the Pentagon has addressed, how climate change will destabilize governments and how to deal with that from a national security standpoint. And I've seen some generals talk about we need to use more solar power because, getting fuel to the Middle East and the war, it's good. But it's like the military talking about how they're going to fight climate change is it's like the oil companies saying we're looking into clean technology. And they are, but they're spending $20 million on it based, they've got like a $50 billion budget, and they spend like this little amount of pocket change that's just so that they can run some ad, on national TV during a big sporting event showing, scientists in labs making green tech, and they show wind turbines and solar, and like, boy, that's us, BP oil, we're helping. Like, it's like lip service, It's like Monsanto, like, we have some organic products. Yeah, one, maybe none. So I really, the thing you got to be aware of this, and I'm really glad, Adam, you sent this, is because this is part of the sort of carbon industry propaganda machine. Instead of flat out saying, we got to get off of oil now, and the Pentagon and the Department of Defense going, it's bad, let's pull out of all these wars. It's never, we're not going to be at war, is never, and they never say that. It's always just a foregone conclusion we're going to war, right? So when you see them talking about North Korea, there's never anybody on CNN or MSNBC going, hey, why do we need to go to war? It's like, well, war might happen, and here's a bunch of generals that are retired that now make a bunch of money in the defense contract industry. It went from 6-figure salaries to 7- and 8-figure salaries in the defense contract industry, talking about here's how we'll attack North Korea. It's never even, and as Adam points out here, and you listen to this guy, it's really, we got to attack climate change and everything's war, war, war. So the idea of like one way to fight climate change, Navy guy and Pentagon folks, is how about we stop going into all these ridiculous wars for the petrodollar? How about that? That seems weird. What if instead of spending $700 billion a year on the military, how about we spend that, how about we cut that budget in half and give that money at home and do a Green New Deal? How about that? How about instead of blowing up and destabilizing countries in the Middle East, we actually back democratic ones, because we don't get behind the democratic leaders in the Middle East. So Iran, during the Bush administration, was trying to back channel to Bush to like, hey man, we want to talk peace. We don't want to go through what you just did to Iraq. And Iran had a lot of young people and college age people and in their 20s who were like, liked Western stuff and they weren't, fanatics and stuff like that. And so, no, Bush shut it down because that's not good. Because a democratically elected government in the Middle East versus a crazy dictator, well, it doesn't look good if we go blow up a democratically elected leader. So we need crazy, people in there so we can say, oh, we got to get this guy out of there. America's, we're the police, we're the force for good. And it's the same thing with climate change. If everybody just said, look, climate change is real, it's happening, as I've heard people say, I saw a great interview with Jill Stein and Abby Martin from last year's presidential campaign on, if you watch Abby Martin's Empire Files. And Dr. Stein talks about, she goes, we're at the 6th extinction event. Like, we've had 5 mass extinctions on the planet Earth, and we're facing the 6th one now. If everyone said, we need to do something about this and address it, let's do it. And then the military would be used basically just for humanitarian reasons. Like when there's 7 hurricanes that hit the Gulf states and the Caribbean, like we just had here in North America, the military is just there to like provide aid and actually go provide aid in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico versus not going there. So this is feel like propaganda to me. And I like TED Talks, and there's a lot of really great information in the TED Talks. This isn't a slam against them, but you just can see how this is a great way for the military-industrial complex to get a nerdy-looking scientist guy up there to say, and if the military is doing these things to try to deal with climate change, great. But the military-industrial complex, the defense contractors, and the corporate state are really the blame. They're the problem. The American empire is the problem with wars and famine and climate change. It's America is the American corporate state empire is the problem. So Adam Martin, thank you for bringing this up. And it's good to see, because I want everyone, you got to pay attention when they try to sneak in some propaganda, And I want to give everything weigh it evenly. Like, okay, well, there's some good points in there, but I still just can't listen to a guy that's, high up in the military tell me that the military is out there, being on the forefront of the green energy battle or whatever. I don't want to hear it. And I don't want to hear all these war terms. I'm done with war. I'm tired of it. Let's try to reverse climate change before it wipes out the planet. How about that? That's the only war I'm really on board with. So thanks for listening to the show, you guys. You can support the show by using the Amazon affiliate link. Go to the Patreon. You get to suggest cool articles like this. You get bonus content. So if you go to patreon.com/GrahamElwood, the link is in the show notes below. And go to my website for tour dates. You all are making Gotham great again.